Yesterday, I visited the local record store, Dr. Records, owned by Don Menninghaus, which I've referenced in my previous videos about vinyl. And I decided that after all was said and done, I would do another volume of my genre profiles on funk. And being that I'm of the Quincy Jones / Robert Glasper point of view, that funk, R&B, soul, jazz, and yes, a good majority of disco-era music all comes from the same musical spectrum. I'm going to be including some of that in this video. I wrote a separate blog more specifically on the visit on WordPress. I'm going to be posting a link in the description of this video for that. But the first one fills an enormous gap in my collection. You know, I just love the Burke's. You know, even at a time when they are, you know, following a trend of something rather than setting it, they are one of the funkiest bands on the planet. And this is their 1977 album, Flying High on Your Love, from Mercury. I just love the front and the back cover. They look so excited on the front. And on the back, staring very meaningfully to the heavens. Very deep photograph. I love it. Shut the Funk Up is a fantastic song. I have it on my Burke's Greatest Hits on CD. One side of the inner sleeve has this, the Burke's symbol for this album. Very sensually beautiful, really. And then all the band members here. Harvey Henderson, Frank Thompson, Lloyd Smith, Larry Dodson. I believe he's the only member that survived the plane crash that killed the original band with Otis Redding, James Alexander. I think he may have been part of the original band too. I don't remember. Winston Stewart, Michael Beard, and Charles Allen. And that's Flying High in Your Love by the Burke's. Now, Don actually recommended to me, which you'll read more about in the blog on WordPress again, a number of albums that he just got in. And a number of them were by Sun, part of the hugely vast Dayton, Ohio funk scene of the late 70s. Their records are relatively hard to find on any format. And I know them from their song Sun Is Here, of course. And this is, I believe, their third album entitled Sun Power. That's the front cover. There are some very nice paintings of the members. They were a biracial group, by the way. And this album came out in 1977. Now, the interesting thing about this album is it has a lyric guide on the back in orange, the Sun logo in orange, and not only do you get inside a custom label, but orange clear vinyl. I don't know if you can see that. That's really seriously cool. I didn't know that a lot of funk albums were ever printed in orange vinyl, but I always love colored vinyl, especially the group Sun, and orange vinyl would be a very important thing for a band with a name like that. This is their next album, Sunburn. I think they were kind of in the Ohio Players cheesecake photography frame of artwork for this album cover. There's the band on the back again. Another inner sleeve lyric guide. Just the regular capital label on that one. They didn't have a custom label. I love this cover. Very much in mind of the Earth, Wind & Fire's artwork at the time. Funkadelic, the Electric Spanking of War Babies, and Ronnie Law's Friends and Strangers. Very much in that space funk Star Trek, Star Wars album cover. I absolutely love this. Midnight Star had their first album, The Beginning, with a similar cover art. Destination Sun from 1979. Kind of looks like a transformer on the cover, doesn't it? Interesting mathematical equations on the back. Very much in the league of scientists of sound. Sun do some of the best album artwork I've ever seen for the funk era. Even get a radioactive symbol for the radiation level. Just regular capital label again. But I love the outer and inner sleeve to this. It's fantastic. So significantly funk era. The next album is from 1982. There are some gaps here, of course. And this album is called Let There Be Sun. Kind of a hodgepodge of different things on the cover. Just a regular capital sleeve. No big thing. Another Bill LaBounty album. This Night Won't Last Forever. We've talked about him in other videos before. This album came out in 1978. Lee Sklar and Jeff Pecoro from Toto appear on this album. This fills another gap in my Grover Washington collection. It's just a plain sleeve cutout, as you can see right there. 1980s Skylarkin. Grover had left Motown by this point for Elektra, and they reissued this album from his Motown years. This was in the Motown 20th anniversary. It was recorded in 1979, just before he left the label, actually. This is the fusion artist Michael Urbaniak, sax player, on an album called Fusion 3. This album was recorded with the help of his wife Ursula, musical collaborator as well, in 1975. Just the conventional Columbia label and a white sleeve. No big deal on that one. Another album on Arista by Michael Urbaniak, Body Language. I love that cover. Why did I say he was a saxophone player for? He plays violin. I was thinking of Grover Washington. I'm very sorry for that gaffe. Okay. Looks like just a typical Arista label from the mid-70s. Again, not a big deal. Now, this album, I'm not sure how many of you out there are familiar with the European fusion group Passport. Well, they were led by the saxophone player Klaus Dollinger. And this is an album from his original acoustic quartet, the Klaus Dollinger Quartet Blues Happening. This was recorded for World Pacific Jazz in 1968. Some liner notes and a picture of Klaus at that time. There's the back cover. This isn't a funk album per se, it's a acoustic jazz record. There are actually, I think, 2 long songs on this album. Here's the Pacific Jazz label. Actually, there are 3 on one side. There's 4 songs in all. The last part is just a longer song on the second side. Now, this next album was again recommended to me with a lot of Sun records, and this is Maceo and All the King's Men, one of his solo albums, Funky Music Machine. I love that cover photography very much. It's Maceo from the JBs, you know. I'm not going to knock it. There's the label, Excello. Label you don't see too often. And there we have it. Here's Solomon Burke's 1974 album, which seems to have a strong civil rights connotation, called I Have a Dream, from 1974. It's on the ABC Dunhill label. The Four Tops were also there at the time. I just love anything related to Solomon Burke. Here's the original album sleeve. Is this a generic label? I don't think it's a promotional copy, but... And this one, Shirley Garrett was, of course, a famous singer for Quincy Jones and duetted with Michael Jackson on the song I Can't Stop Loving You in 1987. And this album was released on the Q West label in 1988. Here's the liner notes. I believe this was also on CD. Let me see if I can get the Q West label out of there. There it is. Now, this album would have been recorded in 1988, which means that it was toward the tail end of the original run of vinyl records. But there's the back of it. Rod Temperton's name on Quincy Jones sold me on this very quickly. But, okay, that's what I have for vinyl today. As I said, for more information on the circumstances in which I found this vinyl, I suggest that you read the blog link that I left in the comments, because there's a great story there that will greatly appeal to vinyl enthusiasts, especially ones who are interested in collecting this particular spectrum of music that's being presented here. and the various comings and goings of such a thing. But anyway, that's what I have for this volume of Andre's Genre Profiles. And all of you enjoy your music, and I will see you next time.